Well, here we are in my little vineyard. So this is the place where I grow the grape for the wine that I make for my personal consumption. So I can make like 25, 30 liters of wine, and that means my vineyard is very, very, very small. But regardless if vineyard was small or big, they all need the same thing. They need sun, they need soil, and they need water. Now, regarding the soil, it's very good if it's nutritious, but it's also very important that doesn't keep water very well. Because for difference of table grapes, the wines for the winemaking, they don't need much water because we need extractive juice from the grapes. There is a little misconcept there, obviously, because yes, wine need a lot of water and we will provide a lot of water, but only for the time period of time that grapes are developing. When grapes are developed and then they just start keep on ripening, in that period of time, which is summer, middle of July, all the way to the August, uh, wine. Well, we don't want wine to have a lot of water, and that's why the vineyards are usually planted on the slopes with either clay, sand, limestone, alluvials, volcanic soils, all these kind of soils that don't keep water very well. Okay, now uh, if we have the soil that is nutritious, we need something to bring those nutritions, this food for the vine into the plant. And how can we do that? Well, we don't do it. That's natural thing and is done by the sun. So leaves are receiving the sun rays, and then with the process of photosynthesis, they feed the plant. Okay, so what's gonna happen if you have too much sun exposure? Well, obviously grapes will develop very fast, and then juice inside wouldn't be balanced. We don't need that. And in case that we don't have enough sun, our grapes would ripe very long time, and that's how we would get high acidity, but not really enough sugar. Okay, so we need to control that. We obviously cannot stick the leaves, neither we can switch off the sun. So we need to choose the way that we're gonna grow the plants, and that's called trailing system. So amount of leaves that is on the vines we call vigor. Less sun exposure, we need more leaves, so means higher vigor. And opposite, high sun exposure, we need less leaves or lower vigor. Now, in the regions that have a lot of sun exposures, people have trailing system which don't provide high vigors like a bush system. And opposite, in the region where there is no enough sun exposure, people use trailing system that creates a lot of leaves, like pergola. You know, it looks like you have a roof made out of the vine leaves. In the region where my vineyard is, which is actually quite similar to actually quite same altitude as the Burgundy, we use something that's called Guyot or cordon. Some people use single, some people use double Guyot, as well as single or double cordon. How it looks like, I will show you in a minute. But I wanted. So this is double cordon. As you can see, it goes on both sides, and those are two old branches. Okay, that should be pruned every year, and then should make new branches going up. Well, throughout the years that I was growing these vines, I realized that leaving some branches on would help me to control vigor much better. So instead to have branch from, let's say, how we call it, three eyes, or places where they would grow, I left also some old branches that then I prune. So from each branch, I have few more branches that I can later on take off or control my vigor better. Geo is very similar trailing system to this one. Just there is one single tree going up, and then from that tree that was all the way to the wire, you create new branches every year. Well, since we are here, I would like to show you something different, and maybe this is a little bit better place to show. Okay, so now is June, okay, and vines make flowers in May. Okay, so too much um rain or even ice during the May when vines start to flower may really devastate the crop at the end of the year. This year we had quite moderate May, and that's why we have a lot of, as you can see, a lot of new grapes that most probably I will take off some of them when comes times for that. But for now, they will grow. However, this little green, as you can see them, this little green thing, they will develop into the green grapes. Somewhere in the middle of around middle of the July, they will change color, and doesn't matter if it's white grape varieties or it's red, blue, black, however you want to call them. They all would be green until middle of July, and then they will start changing the color. From that point, all the way until harvest, somewhere in September, we don't need any excessive water. And also at that point, we would, depending on the sun exposure or the quality of the vintage, we would take off some leaves. If wine exposure is too high, and definitely if there is not enough sun exposure, we would take off some of those grapes. Okay. uh, Now it's very important to know that there is also another way to do things, like even if the staking off the grapes doesn't help, is too low sun exposure, we can even make rings about the grapes here, and then food would go only into this bunch and wouldn't feed the rest of the branch. Okay, so that's um, some of the techniques that vineyard managers use. Now, let's just say over there in September, when everything is ready to make wine, we will crush the wine, and then we will let winemaker to make our wine. But we will control that winemaker very well. Naturally, well, since the plant is, let's say, farmer, and the provider of the ingredients are sun and soil, well, winemaker would be something else. And I will introduce you to the winemaker in a second. And here it is, the real winemaker. You might ask, where is that real winemaker? Oh, this is a plum. Actually, this is gonna be a season of the plums. It's a full, full tree of plums. Very good. Do you see this film on the plums? No, you don't. Okay, maybe you will see it now when I pass with my finger. You see, there is no more film. I hope you can notice now the difference. This film that I took off with my finger are actually yeast. and yeast are real winemakers. Now that we met the real winemaker, what we need to do is only protect it and to control it. But I will tell you much more about that in the part that is connected with vinification or the winemaking. However, same as on the plums, we can find yeast on each and every fruit. And I must say that yeast are very, very patient. They can be there for a long time waiting on the skin of the fruit to break so they can start feeding on the sugar that is in the juice. That also means that yeast can make wine out of each and every fruit. But can that beverage be called wine? Well, you see, the word wine came from the Greek's word oinos or voinos, which means grape juice. And even science about winemaking is called enology. So the beverage made out of this beautiful plant is definitely wine. But the beverages made out of different fruits than grapes, well, we can call fruit wines or ciders, but they are definitely not real wine. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you will write some comments. And actually, I strongly encourage to write some comments, ask questions, and bring your ideas. Thank you.